I was born in Latvia, which is Eastern Europe. We ended up immigrating to the US in '91. My father was physically abusive because it was the culture that we were in. And everybody knew it. Nobody did anything about it. And we just kind of continue on in life. So I went on thinking that nobody cared. Nobody wanted to help. That's just what I believed, and that's what I saw. As that continued to be something that I believed and saw, that turned into bitterness and anger and hatred.
I'd say about age 13 or 14, I started experimenting with drinking whiskey instead of being in, first hour class in the morning. Sexually active when I was 15. Had a steady girlfriend at that time. I got her pregnant when I was 17. She got an abortion. One of my biggest regrets is letting her go through with that. We got married. Within 6 months, I was divorced and spiraled downward. Got very depressed, doing the bar scene, basically aimless and without hope and a total rebel.
I don't remember my real dad. My mom used to tell me about his drug dependency. She used to tell me how he hit her. He was very abusive. He left when I was about 2. I do remember when my mom brought home my soon-to-be stepdad. This time I was gonna have a dad. My mom and my stepdad got married. It didn't change. Nothing changed, really, actually. Must have been about 7 or 8, the first time that he hit me. It was the first and last time that he hit me. I think it was maybe just out of rage and maybe he just lost it, but I remember that changed me.
I used people and people used me, and that's just the way the world worked. I found a lot of my identity in the boyfriends that I had or the parties that I went to. I didn't really have any self-worth. I didn't have anything. I didn't value anything. It was the same cycle of bitterness, anger, hatred. At 18, I had an abortion and I went by myself, and I didn't really have any emotion or feeling when I walked in. And after the surgery, I walked out, didn't have any feeling, and just kind of went about my day. I had this guilt that I couldn't carry, that was too heavy for me, and I was self-condemning and thinking I wasn't worth anything. It was the worst thing in the world. I wanted something or someone to save me because I couldn't do it by myself.
I started experimenting with drugs at a very, very young age, long before I moved out of the house. I remember smoking weed for the first time when I was 8 years old, before school, with my brother. I moved out of the house for the first time when I was 17, and I moved into a party house. I smoked weed every single day, drank every single night, started doing a lot of ecstasy, tried cocaine, mushrooms. That was mushrooms and weed. I always was kind of like the natural guy, like, oh, it's from the earth, it's good. But I do remember it getting harder and harder and harder to deal with life. I would come home from work, shotgun 2 beers and take 2 bong hits, and then I would drive back to work and finish out the day. Whatever I wanted to do, I did it. I thought that was the key to being happy. I thought that was the key to life, is you just did whatever you wanted to. And that's what I did. I did whatever I wanted.
At the suggestion of my mom, she said, hey, why don't you go out to New Life Community Church? I heard that it's a big church and there's a lot of young people going there. I went to church every week for 8 weeks. I was starting to feel convicted. I remember driving down the road thinking, okay, I gotta do business with God right now. So I pulled off on a dirt road in a field, sat there in my truck, and I asked Jesus to forgive me my sins, and I repented. I asked him to come and live in me and change my desires and save me and adopt me into his family. And it was genuine. Life didn't just get instantly easier because I prayed a prayer. Honestly, like, I just didn't want to give up everything. It's like I wanted to accept Jesus and the benefits, but I didn't want to give him every part of my life. What I used to do without a care in the world, I was now doing and feeling very convicted. That conviction led to depression because I wasn't rightly believing the gospel. On more than one occasion, I just wanted to end my life. Driving down a mountain pass, I made the decision right there that, okay, this is it. I'm going out, and I'm going to do it right now before I can talk myself out of it. So I hit the gas. I was at 120. There's got to be somewhere along this stretch of road, one corner that doesn't have a guardrail, and then I'm going to just go flying off. All four wheels locked up, and I was sliding sideways for a long distance. Right before I hit a guardrail, I stopped. First thing I did was thanked God for preserving me.
I didn't like Christians. I thought they were stupid. Anytime I would run into a Christian, I would have very, very long conversations and make them feel stupid about being Christians, and I was good at it. So I liked to do that. I liked to convince people that their God was dumb and their beliefs were lame and the Bible was fake. I was 23 when I stepped into church for the first time. I went because my girlfriend wanted me to. I remember thinking, whatever, it's just 2 hours on a Sunday morning. I remember one sermon Adam preached, you got to get run over by the cross. That's interesting, you know, that the cross is actually something that destroys your old life.
So at age 22, I was still in this cycle, and I remember waking up Sunday morning in someone else's home. It was a guy's house I was spending the night at, and I woke up feeling more guilt and worthless than ever. I left, and I ended up walking around Seattle that day. I remember about Mars Hill Ballard that a couple of friends had taken me to, and I ended up going to the 5 p.m. service there. I went alone, naturally, and just sat through the whole service, and Pastor Mark was talking about Jesus like I'd never heard before. He talked about Jesus meeting me where I was at, and there was no sin too great that couldn't be forgiven. As everyone stood up to worship in song, I stood up too, and the band was playing Before the Throne of God, in which the lyrics were, "For God the just is satisfied to look on him and pardon me," and it hit me. I couldn't even catch my breath. I was just weeping, and I felt like that moment, I finally got it. I understood the gospel. I understood that Jesus was it, that he would forgive, has forgiven all of my sins. I knew that things were going to be different, and I knew things were going to be changing, and I knew that Jesus was it.
I could not go on trying to live 2 lives, and I needed to give all of my life over to Jesus. I had the opportunity to move in with my aunt and uncle in Alaska. I was adopted into this new church family, Peters Creek Christian Center. My Uncle Rick was a pastor there. That new community is what I needed. I just experienced many blessings, grace that I didn't deserve. I landed a great job. I met my wife. I proposed to her. We got married 10 weeks after that. God had an awesome plan that I had no idea about, and that changed everything. We had moved to Wenatchee, walking with the Lord for 13 years at this point, heard an almost audible voice say, full-time ministry. The fact that I can use my skill set so that more people have more opportunities to hear the good news of Jesus is mind-blowing.
If my girlfriend broke up with me, then I would never go back to church again. And about 3 months later or something, I remember having that thought. That's when she broke up with me. I was like at a crossroads. I could either lean into God and trust him, or I could turn around and walk away forever. You know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to lean into God. I started going to Faithful Men which was something that the elders were doing with a group of men, and we'd get together on Tuesdays or Thursdays, I can't remember what, we'd talk about the Bible. This was huge for me to be around men that were good husbands, that were good fathers. The biggest thing for me is when God revealed himself to me as my father. He freed me up to be loved, accepted, adopted, and that I was always really afraid of being a bad dad. And God freed me from that fear. I got baptized Father's Day 2010.
I'm no longer bitter. I'm no longer angry. I love community. I want to serve because I've been served so great by the people in community and those around me, and I want to forgive because I was forgiven of so many things. I have a 9-month-old baby boy who I love, and I know that God doesn't punish me, and because Jesus already took that punishment. And I have a wonderful husband who loves me and doesn't care what my past was like. There is hope. There's people who care. And most of all, there's a God who cares. I don't need to live in my shame. There's no sin too great to be forgiven. I'm always and will be saved because of Jesus.
What we don't understand is when we're completely living by our own rules, that it's the opposite of freedom. Jesus has freed me to be a loved, approved son of God. In that submission to him and submission to his life, I've never felt more free.
Through total unmerited favor, Jesus saved me. Period. Proof positive that you don't have to clean yourself up before you come to Jesus. I've wanted so many times to go back and rewrite my story. He's done one better and he's redeemed it.
Nothing in this world can satisfy like Jesus Christ. I have experienced enough of it to say it is all fake compared to what is in the love of Jesus Christ. It is the only real thing in this world.